And we are live. All right, I'll go ahead and call to order the City Council meeting for August 21st, 2023. Councilmember Holt advised that he would not be able to make it, so everyone else is here. Councilmember Gardner will lead us in invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day, Lord, and we're thankful for this opportunity that we have to come together tonight and conduct the business for the city, Lord. And we just ask for wisdom, as we always do, to understand the issues that are before us and do what is in the best interest of our citizens here in Maumelle, God. And we just pray for a servant's heart that we can be looking how we can make this community better and to make it better for the residents that live here so that this can continue to be such a great place to live, Father. God, we ask your blessings on all those that are out serving the city, and especially right now with the heat that's coming this week and is already here, God. We just pray for special protection for all of those that are working outdoors in this weather right now, God, and just keep them safe during this time. Thank you for the blessings of life that you give us, and let us look for somebody to help and serve each and every day, Father. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Gardner. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. Y'all received a copy of the August 7th minutes, and then the city clerk emailed out with a few updates on that. If there's Councilmember Tierney.
Yes, I believe there was an error in the council members. Oh, it's corrected on the paper, but it was not corrected on this one, so we're good.
Thank you for that heads up, sir. I did correct it.
Thank you.
And just a heads up, if y'all see something that you think is wrong and you reach out to the city clerk beforehand, we can usually get it updated and in the minutes and redistributed beforehand, so that's always helpful. Sometimes, if you're like me, you don't notice it until the last minute, so that works too. If there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the minutes as...
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion and second to adopt the minutes. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. With that, we will move on to public comment. I do have one public comment card. Ms. Watkins, come on down. Please state your name and address for the record, ma'am, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Janet Watkins. I live at 11400 Crystal Hill Road in the city limits of Maumelle. And I've been here before, so I'm no stranger. I'd like to quit coming. I have better things to do. But I'm here to tell you that Crystal Hill Road is not finished. We're enjoying blacktop. We're up out of the mud and the dirt. But there are still so many things that have not been completed that were supposed to be completed. We don't have any street lights, and that's a real concern of the people that live down there. It's very, very dark. It's not safe, and a lot of things go on along that road after dark. This should not be going on. And so that's my first concern. Then the city did come down and mow, and it looks much better, but they were only able to mow about that far up the banks because they're so rough. They're in such a mess. There's concrete. There's nobody knows. The weeds are so tall. Nobody knows what's in those roadsides. And for all the years that I've lived out there, they have mowed a little bit at the bottom of the hill that I live on, and the road right away, I guess, is what they've mowed. And they can't do that. We've tried. We've got a pretty good sized John Deere riding mower, and we can't get anything over it. We can't get that over it. It's so rough, and they've left it in such a mess. And I understand they're supposed to be done. Well, you know, they're not done. They were supposed to dress the sides of the road at least in a manner where the city can get their equipment over it to mow. And so that's a big concern. My place looks like it's abandoned because we can't mow down the bottom of the hill. And then they tore my mailboxes up and down. because they needed to move them off the road, and that was 3 years ago, and I understand that. And I said, okay, well, they stuck them up with some little metal fence posts. They've got them propped up, and they've been that way for 3 years. And every time I said anything about it to the construction people, they said, yeah, we're gonna take care of that. We're gonna replace your mailboxes and put them back in the right place. Well, that hasn't gotten done. My mailboxes, I'm 77 years old, I can't fix them. And I don't really have the money to hire somebody to fix them. And that was part of the agreement. They were supposed to come back and correct that, and they did not. I can see that they have not replaced the white vinyl fence down there that they tore up a lot of, and they were supposed to replace that. And the sprinkler system from Riverbend, I understand, I've been told at least, that it has not been repaired. Now that's Mr. Osborne's project, and I don't think any of them made it down here tonight, so I won't dwell on that. I'm just absolutely sick about what they did for a bike path. That is not a bike path. They took the lanes of our road that we needed to drive on safely. They've lopped off about a third of it and put lines down it and little bicycle emblems, and that's the bike path. We were supposed to have a bike path like what's in Maumelle and everywhere else, and that's not safe. We have big semis, big gravel trucks, all kinds of heavy stuff come flying down that road way, way, way over the speed limit because it's not been enforced. And that's too dangerous I wouldn't walk down it. Sunday morning, I was going out to go to church, and there was this nice fellow with his little girl about 6 years old, and she was on a little bicycle with training wheels trying to drive down that. Well, that's not a bike path. That's just a lane. I don't know what it's for. And I want to know, are we out of money? Is there no more money left in the bond issue? Was it all spent? And if it wasn't, where is it? And can it not be used to address some of these things that need to be completed down there? I've got a copy of the bond issue when we voted on it many, many years ago, and it reads, I have it with me if anybody wants to look at it. It's probably, you haven't seen it in a long, long time. Some of you weren't even here then. But I have a copy of it, and it specifically says that they're supposed to build a bike path. They're supposed to pay out of the bond money for the moving of the electric lines, and I don't know what. Everybody keeps saying, well, that's an excuse why this has taken 3 years. But my goodness, it's just plain as day that the bond money was supposed to pay for that. But I won't even go there. I just want street lights so it can be safe, so I can find my driveway at night. And for myself, I want my mailboxes repaired, fixed, something done about them, or at least money appropriated to get it done. And I want the sides of the road where the city, at least the portion they're trying to mow, can get down it. And I want something done to the bottom of my hill so that we can mow our yard and look like we still live there. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Watkins. Just as a heads up, that project is not complete. Everything that Ms. Watkins mentioned is still on the punch list. I'll have to verify any grading work on the hills, I'm not sure, but the mailbox is something that we've seen, and they kind of replaced it, not nearly as sturdily as it was to begin with. And so that project is not complete. We have not said it is complete. There's still more work to do there, just as a heads up. With that,
It's going to be done.
as soon as I can get it done. Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, I've driven down there. The bike, the striping all looks nice. And as you mentioned last meeting, it didn't look like with the little markings that it was going to be wide enough and that sort of thing. But it looks like it'd probably work unless you all feel like they didn't do it right.
No, it is marked properly. That was the design from when we redesigned the project. The only change to that was the part south of Counts Massey, where there will be a asphalt trail continuing there, and then there will be an asphalt trail on the north end of the project from the Park on the River driveway to the corner of Maumelle Boulevard. So the plans, when we redid them in 2019, had included in it a smaller trail from Park on the River to the boulevard. There was not designed at that time a trail south of Counts Massey. At that time, it was still going to continue on as the in-the-road bike lane that was there. So the only change regarding bike lane since that project has been designed was the extension of the trail south of Counts Massey, and then we brought it to the city council to widen the path north of Park on the River.
One more question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir?
When I was communicating with Ms. Watkins the other day, she mentioned dump trucks coming down that road quite often, and I texted her back and said, what are dump trucks doing down there? And she thought that there's an approved route for these dump trucks to come down Counts Massey, cross the boulevard, down to Crystal Hill, and then go west up until the First Security Bank, and then turn left on the boulevard. And is there some? Do you know of any approved path for those dump trucks to be doing that? That'd be very heavily laden with rock and things like that.
I'm not sure. So far as I know, the city doesn't have a truck route in that area.
Okay.
Or anything like that. So I'm not sure what is meant by approved route. I'm not sure if there's a business in that area that is using gravel and that's just the shortest route, but we don't have anything that I'm aware of that says that's where trucks should be going. And I don't know where they'd be coming from.
Yeah, apparently that rock quarry or something up there on the off of Counts Massey.
Off of Counts Massey, so that would mean that they're crossing Maumelle Boulevard, coming down to Crystal Hill, and then going back up to Maumelle Boulevard.
Right, doesn't make any sense.
I don't doubt that there are trucks. I don't know where they're coming from, and we certainly haven't guided anyone to that road.
Anyway, I guess be alert if you see something like that. See if we can figure that out. Thank you.
I'd prefer to have them on Maumelle Boulevard.
Yeah, I would too.
Thank you, sir. With that, we will move on to financial statement review. Ms. Beatrice, come on down.
I have my podium. So you have in your packet two sets of financial statements. The regular one that you were having all the time, and the new one, because I want you to tell me if you see something that you would like to change, but it is already there. And this is the one that I really would like to be using moving forward, because it is automatic, so we don't need to work extra in Excel, and I don't like to work in Excel, sincerely. Well, next page, please. So I'm going to present based on the new financial statements, that is just the 2 pages that you have there. So if you can see here, we have the revenue in the new groups that we have for the different lines of revenue. We have here, for example, intergovernmental revenue, that you used to have it by separated. Now it's just everything together there. And as I told you, this is, for me, and hopefully for you, easier to understand. If you go to the column that says in the top, full year 2023, this is the year-to-date data that we have. Is the third column, 1, 2, 3, I put wrong the title. And this is the data as of the July 31st. And in the 2 previous columns, you have regularly your budget and your revised budget. In the 5th column, the one that says remaining budget, basically it's just a difference between the revised budget and the actual numbers. If you see, most of the revenue, we are doing okay. I think we are going to get the revenue as planned in the budget, and we have to lines here that reads in red numbers, 70,000 and 22,000. This means that we have more revenue than expected in the one that I was telling you before, investment earnings and miscellaneous revenue. Other than that, we consider we are okay in revenue, and also if we compare with last year, we are doing according with budget, so that's what we were planning. In the next page, please, we have all the expenses. In the expenses, we are within budget. We don't foresee any big impairment for now. You know, we are still 4 months to go. We don't know what we will have, and a little extra, probably in IT, but we don't know yet. We are working on that. And then if you see, in the column that says, third column that says full year 2023 is the actual number. So our actual expenditures are $8 million, and the capital expenditures 431 for a total expenditures of 8.9 million year to date. And now, if you can see, I put like kind of net profit or loss for you. This means that we have been getting more revenue than expenses, so we are okay, and we don't foresee any big issue here. If we go to the previous one, please. Okay, so you go to the next one. Here, I just put a reference for the general fund, because as you remember, we have to keep 20% of the budgeted operating expenditures as a reserve. We are okay, we continue being okay. The 20% will be $3.4 million, and we have 13 million in the general fund. So we are still very good. We are over requirements for 9 million. Okay, if we go to the next one, please. We have the street fund. In the street fund, we are doing okay so far. The total fund balance is $5 million. And by talking with the mayor and reviewing this situation, is because the accounting regular procedure is that at the end of the year, there is an operational transfer. And that's why the fund looks very big, but it's doing okay. We have the 5 millions. We have 382,000 of profit year to date. So we don't foresee any issue in the streets department. And they are already working in the projects that they have planned for 2023. If we go to the next page, please. This is the sanitation fund. As you know, we get less money than we expend in the sanitation area. So far, year to date, we have $477,000 expenditures above from revenue. So for this purpose, it's considered a loss. It's not a loss because we don't have loss. We will transfer money from another fund. But it's just to present you how the numbers look today. And we do have $1 million on the sanitation fund. So we are okay, but probably we need to pay attention to this fund because we don't want to be getting losses all the time, right? We want to be a nice business, I will say, but it also goes against us as a citizens because we will have to increase taxes. So we just need to keep an eye out there, okay? And then let's go a little bit for my finance department highlights, if you don't mind. That's what I like to do, remember? So we have very good news on the payroll software. Finally, we go live, and we have our Director of Human Resources here. Could give her an applause because we finally went live. So, and it was a lot of work that she did. So just to give you a brief summary on this, the former financial director handled the payroll through the pay period ending May 5th, 2023. Our senior accountant, Mary Nelson, took over payroll as of May 6, 2023, until we went live with the first payroll in August of this year. So we are still working a little bit on differences in payroll benefits, but payroll is now in the hands of the HR director via UKG. So actually it's very good news for us. You don't even imagine how happy we are. Even it took a lot, we are all tired of this, but it's done. Something good, right? Reporting in OpenGov, I already automatic. I show you the report. So if you all agree, I will not be giving you the Excel spreadsheets anymore, just the automatic report. But if you require something else, I can produce it from the system, okay? And then some news in accounts payable department. Would you mind standing? Our bookkeeper, accounts payable person, resigned as of this coming Friday, 25. The reason why is because she got a new job according with her administrative skills. We are very happy for her. And of course, better economic opportunity. So unfortunately, we are losing her, and we just trained them. Anyway, but we have a potential internal replacement who has excellent financial background, and we consider he will be a good fit for the accounts payable position. Because that position, it is a little understated for the city, and I wanted you to know, because that is a central contact between all the departments, all the vendors, and finance. So this is a key position. So just to keep in mind. And that's all for today. I don't know if you have any questions. Well, I know what you are going to ask. For the 2021 audit, and I don't want to put it there because remember, we are working with that. And the mayor may want to add something if necessary, but we have the auditors in-house. They started reviewing the data that our former financial director gave to them. They are reviewing the data. At least we are moving. That's all what I can say for now. As they advance, we are going to give you more information on this, but it is where we are now. And now it's everything.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the council on the financial report? Councilmember Mazzoni?
Yeah, I like the new system. The only thing, the intergovernmental, that's now putting a whole bunch into
Yeah.
that one, so there's less visibility on it. Would it be easy to break out? like
Yeah, I can
before?
open
Or
it.
as a minimum, are you still gonna put out the monthly
Yes.
revenue at the end? Because that might.
Yeah, I
that's
can
about the only
break
thing
it.
Okay. Other than that, looks nice.
Councilmember Mosley?
Yes, as far as the accounting year 2022,
We need to finish 2021 first.
yeah, I understand we're still having problems with 2021, but 2022, is that all fully closed out? Is it ready for somebody to do a financial report, or do we have to wait until the 2021 is complete?
2021 is closed in the financial books. 2022 is in the books, but I have not had time to review everything until 2021 is closed. I can roll over initial balances, then I evaluate the final balances, and I see if the schedules that they have matches with the accounting. So no, to be concrete in the answer, is not ready. We will be ready when we finish 2021.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, if there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Sousa. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to have all ordinances and resolutions read by title only.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. With that, we'll move on to unfinished business. The first item of unfinished business was the previously tabled second reading of ordinance 1091 concerning the requirements for banking services. You may recall that Councilmember Mosley brought up some comments on that. After speaking with Ms. Sousa, we decided that we did want to change some of the language in this. We tabled this, or the council tabled this until this meeting. We still haven't had a chance to really delve in and make those changes. We think they're important, though. So I'd request that we go ahead and table this to, say, the second meeting in October. I've got a motion and a second to table ordinance 1091 to the second meeting in October. Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, are you sure you don't want to just table it indefinitely, and then, once you're ready, bring whatever you've got to the council at that point?
Well, my understanding, and I'll let the city attorney chime in, my understanding is that if it's tabled indefinitely, it has to have a motion to be brought back, or the expiration of 1 year. We think that, and I could be wrong on that, I'm not sure how that works, but I know that if it's tabled, it's presumed indefinitely and needs a motion to come back. That presumably expires at some point, I don't know. So for us, it's also a little bit easier to have it's like setting a reminder to yourself, because then we all put it internally as the reminders and use that as the date to go off of.
Yeah,
But
I saw a furrowed brow there from the city attorney. Do you have a comment you'd care to make?
I don't know whether it has to be brought back. It's not something I've ever considered. And I don't have my city code with me, so I don't know.
And I think
brow was just mystery on my.
I think you actually have to go to Robert's Rules of Order to get into the nuances there.
Well, I'm not going to make any big deal of it, so if you want to just table it for a month or two,
also,
that's fine.
Yes, sir. It also just triggers us and puts it on our calendars, and so it makes it more helpful. Because we do, there are provisions of the current code that we cannot follow because it requires that we're only banking with banks that have 3 branches in the city of Maumelle. So we do want to clarify that at some point, and this just keeps a clock on that. So I've got a motion and a second to table ordinance 1091 to the second meeting in October. All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. With that, we'll move on to the third reading of ordinance 1092, authorizing the mayor to enter into a interlocal agreement. Madam City Clerk Treasurer, if you could please read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1092, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an interlocal agreement for the purposes of creating the Little Rock Air Force Base Regional Planning Committee and establishing its rights and authority and responsibilities.
All right, I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion. If there is none, I'd entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 1092. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Madam City Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Mosley,
Yes.
Councilmember Grunwald,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzoni,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams, Councilmember Tierney,
Yes.
Councilmember Shin.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Ordinance 1092 is adopted. One of the requirements is that the city council will make an appointment to that position. And I think the idea and what we were hoping for internally is, and I think I've talked to Scott about this, I'm not quite sure, but was to appoint Scott to that position. That said, I believe the ordinance says that we're going to follow the procedures used to appoint for the Planning Commission. So we will get that position posted, notice given, and then applicants that are interested may come and apply for that, and then the city council will make a nomination. Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, I would like to see us send out emails on every email list we've got that we send out that has residents that have any interest in getting information and that sort of thing. I want it not only just posted on our website, I want emails to go out so the people that pay attention will know that we're doing this. They maybe have an interest and want to get in. I just want to make sure it's advertised as much as possible. Can we do that?
The notices are handled by the city clerk. I don't know what the protocol for that is.
I'll be happy to do that.
All right. With that, we can move on to the second reading of ordinance 1093, changing the name of Commercial Park Drive. Madam City Clerk, if you could please change that by title only, or read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1093, an ordinance changing the name of Commercial Park Drive to Maumelle Village Drive.
All right, this is on second reading. I'll open the floor for discussion. If there is none, it'll be on third reading at the next city council meeting. Sounds good. With that, we'll move on to the second reading of ordinance 1094, accepting dedication of certain streets and drainage. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1094, an ordinance amending Ordinance Number 979 and accepting and confirming the dedication of certain streets and drainage in the development known as Cypress Bend at Maumelle Crossing, formerly known as IM at White Oak Crossing.
All right, this is on second reading. I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion. Seeing none, this will be on third reading at the next city council meeting. That brings us to the second reading of ordinance 1095, accepting and annexing public road and rights-of-way. Madam City Clerk Treasurer, if you could please read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1095, an ordinance accepting and annexing public roads and right-of-way that abut and/or traverse certain annexed land commonly known as accent development property.
I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion. Councilmember Mosley.
Yes, sir. At the last meeting, we talked about, I had concerns about the city annexing a road that's not up to city standards. And I brought that up and asked if there was a way to make this annexation contingent on the property owners being anytime we would need to upgrade that road other than just filling potholes, that they would pay for that.
So,
and you had said you were going to think about that, and I want.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought I was turning my mic on. Pardon me?
I said, that's all right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We, and by we I mean Scott, looked into the city ordinances. City ordinances say that the only requirement for the city in when accepting annex roads is that we keep them at their current level or better. So essentially, there's no requirement for us to improve that road, but if there's a pothole, it's then the city's responsibility to handle that. And that there's another ordinance also that said that the city can require that developers that develop that area are required to improve that road as they develop that property.
You say there is a law on the books?
There's an ordinance on the books that says that, and that's what we use for things like when the developers make improvements on Inner Odom, they were required to build out more of the half-road improvements. And so that's how we've handled things in the past.
Okay. Well, that I think alleviates my concern because what I was afraid of is, well, we've had this problem with Crystal Hill Road. This was a country road that I don't know how it ended up in the city, but it ended up in the city, and the residents down there said they were tired of the potholes and wanted a road like the rest of Maumelle. And so Mayor Watson decided to put that on the ballot for a bond issue, and taxpayers ended up having to pay to upgrade that. So I'm trying to avoid that again.
Well, and to be clear, there's nothing that would prevent that from occurring again. But the city would have the ability to require a developer to make those improvements in that area.
All right. Now, the owner of the land, from what I understand, that we've annexed is a developer. And so I guess there's a possibility that where that road is, they will be developing maybe a couple or three houses or something like that. And at that point, they would need to go ahead, and if they did, then they'd need to go ahead and upgrade that road at their expense.
That is my understanding. I'm getting a head nod from Mr. Grummer in the back there.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel a lot better. I think that's, 'cause otherwise I have a real problem with maybe taking in a road that's not in good shape. That's all I've got for tonight. Thank you. I'll think about this between now and the next meeting. Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney?
I'll also say that the county judge has made the city's annexing the road a contingency on approving the annexation of the entire lot. So if the council does not annex or dedicate, the road that abuts this annexed property, the whole annexation will be undone.
Well, I would assume that to be the case, but at that point, if we didn't have a way to collect that, I would say that we need to just put it in limbo until we find a way to protect the taxpayers on that. So, yeah, I understood that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any additional discussion on ordinance 1095? Seeing none, it'll be on third reading at the next city council meeting. That concludes unfinished business, which brings us to new business and a pre-audit presentation and discussion that Councilmember Mosley had requested. Mr. Mosley, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I don't know what the pre-audit presentation and discussion is, but what I'd asked the four of us to do is they're in town today. They were at City Hall today, and I asked them to come by tonight and give us a summary of where we are on the audit from their perspective. And he said, yeah, we can do that. And he said, you can just pick our brains. You can ask us anything you want. So I was looking at this as a learning experience for the council. I think there's probably a lot of vagueness as to council members actually knowing what the relationship is between the auditors and the finance department and what each role is. And I could go into that too, but I called the auditors today or I texted them actually and said, reminded them of the meeting time and it was on the agenda. And I got a text back saying that they had talked to the mayor last Friday and he had asked them not to come tonight. So I guess my first thing here is to find out why the mayor asked him not to come.
So I didn't ask them not to come. I told them they didn't have to come. This is a company that's doing business with the city, and as the mayor, I am the one that is overseeing that contract and that agreement. We have given, in a very highly unusual manner, Councilmember Mosley, as an individual and as a council member, basically unfettered access to call and ask the auditors questions and that sort of stuff. Again, highly unusual. But it feels like we're crossing a line when you have an individual council member that is contacting and telling folks to come here. I had to have a conversation with the auditors where they were under the impression that the liaison for the contract to the city was Councilmember Mosley. We've encountered issues where we have requested information. They didn't respond to us, but then when Councilmember Mosley followed up with them, he gave them they gave Councilmember Mosley the information and then assumed that it had come to the city. So I had to clarify that Councilmember, that you were given access to ask questions and to do what you've been doing, but that you are not speaking on behalf of the city. So I absolutely wanted this to be on the agenda, and I think you have every right to request it. And if the council would like a status update from the auditors, then I think that y'all have every right as a governing body to request that they come in and give a status update as to where they are. They are on site today, and we expect that they'll be on site for the remainder of the week.
I may make that motion here in a minute, Mr. Mayor, but I wanted to make sure that the council knew that I was not representing myself as a representative of the city council. They knew I didn't. And I've talked to David Coleman in the past, and he said, we'll talk to anybody that calls us. We understand that you don't have authority to say something on behalf of the council. So I'm not sure why you wouldn't want them here tonight.
Why, I just explained that, sir.
You just really don't want the council to know what the status of the audit is.
No, sir, I don't believe that's what I said at all.
Please refresh me.
Okay, so the decision to bring in folks that the city is doing business with is mine, or the city council can do that, right? We've already given an highly unusual is the terminology. I was asked by the auditors not to be more precise than to say it's highly unusual what is going on with regards to a council member's involvement in the audit. The auditors are here doing work, and the authority to bring them in can rest with the city council as a governing body or me as the mayor. And so if the city council as a governing body thinks it's prudent to bring the auditors in for the type of status report meeting that I don't believe we've ever had before in the city, then the city council as a governing body can make that decision.
Okay, so it's strictly on authority. You're not hiding anything. You're not afraid they'll say something you don't want to hear.
No, sir, that's why I've given you unfettered access to talk to the auditors. And you have the ability to ask those questions, but this is not about you getting knowledge, it's about a dog and pony show. And if we want to have a dog and pony show, the city council as the governing body is the entity that should be making that decision.
Mayor, you could have just called me and said you don't want to see that on the council. Is that on the agenda tonight, and explain why, and we could have worked that out. Or through the city attorney or something.
Or you or the council could have come to the mayor and said, hey, we'd like to see them on. That also could have worked, but it didn't work that way. It worked when I found out that the auditors were planning to come because they thought they were supposed to come because the city council was asking them to come. And let me be clear, they in no way indicated that you were presuming to act with that authority. They said the nature of the relationship is so highly unusual that it was just kind of presumed to be. And that's not a direct quote of them, but that was after a conversation, that was the discussion that came up.
Well, Mayor, we're not going to agree on this, so there's no sense in talking about it anymore. But yeah, I called the auditors the other day and said, how you doing? They said, well, we talked to the mayor a week ago, and the former finance director still hung up, and so it's still hung up. Can you give us some detail on that?
So what continues to happen is I talk with Miss Mathis, Liz, who assures that the next big block of information will be submitted. At one point in time, I believe that everything had been submitted. We then requested follow-up information as to whether or not that information had all been sent and didn't hear back from them on that. And it's my understanding was because we continued to go through this cycle with with Liz, who says that she's submitting extra documents. She'll submit a number of extra documents, but not everything, and there will be a new snafu of sorts that was unanticipated that was going to take longer. Where we are at with the auditors right now is they are not waiting on anything from the city. They're here on site working, and there's work that they'll be doing this week, and then some work that they'll continue to be doing. When the time comes, if the time comes, that they are now no longer able to proceed because they're waiting on something from the city, I'm to the point that I'm just going to have to come to the city council and ask for additional funds if that's needed so that the auditors can take on that reporting process right now. We've already approved those funds for the 2022 audit. but those weren't approved for the 2021 because the idea was that Liz was going to be able to tackle those. I still have faith in Liz, but the reality is she's got a full-time job, family. This gets put on the back burner. So just to recap, the auditors are working. They're not waiting on us. When they get to the point that they're about to start having to wait on us, we're going to have them assess where Liz is in the process, make a determination as to how much they think that needs to be done. If there's something else that needs work from them, give us a price on that, and then come to the city council with that information.
I agree with that plan of action, because I think that is the next logical thing. If we're still hung up,
I hope we're not going to be, but
then we need to bring them in, let them finish it, so we can move on down the road. Anyway. And Mr. Mayor, we need the city council needs to be more involved in audits and accounting and that sort of thing. And I think we need to show the residents of this community that we're serious about getting these audits finished, getting the records up to snuff, and moving down the road. Things have been off since about 2015, and we either need to form an audit committee to kind of herd this process and just stay in touch with the auditors, see who's waiting on who, and that sort of thing. And so I may be moving forward on that. I think your status tonight, I'm not going to make that motion to go ahead and have the auditors come in for a status report until next meeting, and we see where we are then. So, does anybody have some comments? Anybody like to know a little bit more about the audit process in the future? Would you like to see the auditors come in and kind of give us an explanation of how it all works?
Councilmember Gardner?
I think it's important for the auditors to do an outside audit without any extra burdens placed on them by council members calling or texting them. And I think the mayor has authority as the executive branch of our government to be able to do that. Ultimately, it is the city council. We can limit the mayor's powers if we want to, but I have no desire to do that. I think we've entered into a contract with them to do our audit. I think we need to let them do our audit, and I don't care to have them come in here and tell us how they're doing our audit. I would rather them finish it and then come tell us how they did the audit. Personally, I don't think we need to waste their time any more than it's being wasted by just. I think they need to have we need to have an outside audit with little interference from city staff. Let them do their job, work with our finance department, and get it done. Come present it to us. So.
Councilmember Gronwald?
Well, I agree with Councilmember Gardner. I have worked with auditors in the past for nonprofit organizations, and typically what the atmosphere is like when they come in is anybody who is not a direct liaison to the auditors, don't talk to them because they have their own job to do and they need to focus. And so they may come to you and ask questions, but I do think it's important to have just one point of contact, just like Councilmember Gardner said. I do also think it's important that, we stay in the loop as a council and understand what the progress is. Certainly, we don't want to get behind like we have in past years, years and years ago. And I don't think we're headed that way. So I don't mind, us talking about it and having status updates, but I do worry about bogging the auditors down with too much communication or confusion as to who the point of contact is. I think so far, I think we're in still in a pretty good position. I might get a little worried if we're in December, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think we are, on the road to success for this, and I'm fully confident in the mayor and the city staff, and our auditors.
Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, we've been on High Center, caught on High Center since February. They sent us questions and said they're waiting on the ACFR report back in February. And we've been on High Center. It's been the city. It's not the auditors that are taking any time here. And it's not me interrupting them because they haven't been here. They're just now back out here. So I think somebody needs to be riding herd on this process because the accounting department just has been languishing behind for far too many years. And I've become very impatient with that over time. That's all I've got tonight.
Any additional discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll move on to mayor's comments. First thing, y'all are invited, as is everyone, to the groundbreaking for the White Oak Crossing Roundabout. That'll be Thursday, the 31st at 10 a.m. Just as a heads up, the contractors have notice to proceed effective September 5th. So this was kind of squeezing right in the week before they've got the ability to proceed. We hope they'll be out there on the 5th. They first said the 4th until we pointed out that was Labor Day, and they would probably not have happy crews. But they're not obligated to start on that day. With that, the second thing I wanted to point out is that Labor Day is Monday the 4th, so the council meeting will be on the 5th and a Tuesday. I will not be here for the second city council meeting in September. That means that at the next city council meeting, we'll ask the city council to appoint a president pro tem in my absence. That concludes mayor's comments. Council member comments? Councilmember Gronwald?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this groundbreaking ceremony, and I think I saw a lot of excitement online as well. But I did want to just ask if I can put you on the spot for just a second about the Audubon and Montpelier lights.
There is you may see some strips out right now. So the city council appropriated funds to add a traffic signal at Montpelier / Audubon and Maumelle Boulevard. Different street, it's one of those streets you cross Maumelle Boulevard, it changes name. There was a traffic signal warrant study done a number of years ago. When we went to the state, they said it had been done so long ago that it was no longer applicable. I was a little bit confused because the traffic in that area has only increased since the study was done, but nonetheless, we have a traffic signal warrant study being conducted and a speed and traffic count analysis being done now. That was maybe going a couple months ago. We wanted to wait till school was back in session, as we think that gave the more representative thing. So if you go look out right now, you'll see those strips there. From there, the study gets submitted to the state, where the idea is that they will say, yes, a signal is warranted on Maumelle Boulevard / Highway 100 and proceed from there.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional council member comments? City attorney comments?
Yep. Just to give the council an update on the eminent domain lawsuit, because it does concern this White Oak Crossing roundabout. We received discovery requests from the landowners about a month ago. I've been responding to those. I'm also going to serve discovery requests from the landowners. As soon as they have, I think I've told you before, what's probably just holding it up is they haven't had their own appraisal done. As soon as they do, I expect them to come with a settlement offer, I guess you could say. Anytime they make an offer, I'll come to you with it and we can discuss it further. But that's the status of the case.
Thank you, sir. City clerk, comments?
No, sir, you covered the September meeting.
All right, if there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. I've got a motion and a second. Did I hear a second? Can I get a second? I've got a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you for your service.